Greetings, everybody. My name is Lady Erica Cooper, and today we're having a conference talking about domestic violence awareness month. Give me a moment because I'm getting everyone else in. Okay, post on timeline, host profile. Okay, let's go. Sorry, I'm managing three different places. Okay, so when are you going live now? Choose post of time. Post in group. Webcam. Allow. Donations if you want. And start screen sharing. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lady Erica Cooper. I'm coming to you today concerning domestic violence. We're talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And um, give me one second. I don't know why this is there. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out why this screen is there. I cannot get this screen that's covering up my screen off. I'm not sure why it's there. I may have to log off and log back on. Yes, end. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get things going. And in my mind, I had all this ready. So we have a little bit of an update on these. Give me a moment, please. I'm trying to get these other. I had them all ready to go, and all of a sudden now, everything's acting up. Sorry, give me one moment. Going live there. One second. Coming. I'm a stickler for things going right. Give me one moment. And I had everything set up. And now that I'm starting, post in my group, not on a timeline. I don't want it there. Okay, this is not going. Good afternoon, everybody. Greetings, greetings. My name is Lady Erica Cooper, and I'm coming to you today concerning Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So, if there's anyone that would like to tell their story, to share, if you need to know, have any questions, excuse me, in the chat, you can go ahead and place them. For me, I have a lot of people on the panel that are going to come up. I am a advocate for domestic violence. My organization is called Trapped with a Treasure. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I'm also an advocate for domestic violence. Domestic violence is something that's very passionate to me because I endured it for about 5 years. There are so many different areas of domestic violence that people are not really aware of. People think domestic violence is just hitting, but it's not. There are several areas of domestic violence, which includes not only physical abuse, but mental abuse, emotional abuse. There is spiritual abuse, where sometimes people are a part of one religious organization and their spouse or their significant other does not want them practicing their religion, only following theirs. There's financial abuse, like for instance, if you're not working and your spouse is the only one that's working, it's hard for you to get some of the things you need if they're holding the money back. Or in some cultures, what happens is you are typically working, but your spouse takes your money. That's financial abuse. So domestic violence has so many different areas, so many different aspects of violence. But people typically think that domestic violence is just hitting, and it's not. I have a couple of people that are coming on the panel to tell their story. And while we're waiting, I'm just going to just chit chat with you all. I am a guest. Put you on, excuse me. You want to be a guest on, that's fine. As long as we keep it cordial. Use acronyms, not really the person's name. One thing you do not want is for somebody to come back and retaliate against you for speaking of your truth. Everyone's truth is their truth. We are here. It's a atmosphere of no, we're not going to judge. So it's a judge free atmosphere. And we're just going to talk about domestic violence and what is it and what you've done to get out, or do you know someone that's in domestic violence, and do you know any ways of getting them on, they can tell their story, or if you've been a victim of domestic violence, how did you get out? It says, how old are you? Anyway, never mind. I'm not on here for any clout, ma'am. I'm not on here for friends. I'm on here talking about domestic violence, and because it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Domestic Violence Awareness Month is always in October, and I'm on here to bring awareness. So, yes. If you have anyone or know anyone that's dealing with domestic violence, who've been a victim of domestic violence, then you are welcome to speak. You're welcome to give your story. You're welcome to be able to, you know, get information. If you want to type it in the chat, hello, 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 hello. Thank you. For all of you who are in these different chats, I'm trying to manage 3 different pages at one time. So it's up to any of you that if you want to start speaking. I'm waiting on my spiritual sister to come on. I don't see her. Give me one moment. Oh my goodness. I do not see her. But she's supposed to get on with a couple of other women. I don't know how to share this. I wish I was... Anyway, for me, I was in a marriage to a young man who did not tell me he was addicted to drugs. He told me he was only, someone that smoked marijuana, and come to find out, he was addicted to drugs. He was addicted to crack cocaine, and in those aspects of him and his addiction, he would be abusive. I had endured many of times. Hello, all of you all in the chat. Sorry if I'm not looking down. I'm looking at three different screens. I had dealt with domestic violence with him for about, oh, I want to say, okay, there she is. There's one. There you are. I was waiting for you and trying to manage all my different screens. I dealt with domestic violence with him for about 5 years. How did it start? Most people think domestic violence is something that starts right away. It's not, it's very subtle. Um, One day he wanted to go and get high because that was one of the things that he dealt with was his addiction. And he wanted to take my car from me, and I didn't want to give him my car because he didn't have a license, and I wasn't someone you can invite the other peoples. I didn't know how to get them on, darling. I'm on different platforms. I can't even get the one on Facebook going in the group. I'm on also YouTube. So I was having a hard time getting everything started. So he wanted to go get high this particular night, and he wanted to take my car from me, although we were both in the same car. What happened was he jumped out of the car, grabbed my keys out of the ignition before I could even put my car in park. I did not know what he was going to do, or the aspect of the way he did what he did to me. The one thing about an addict and an abuser, you could never be prepared. So what happened was he punched me in my eye, and my eye immediately just closed. I've never been hit. I've never been punched. I've never been abused. So this was just like a shock for me. And it was on Valentine's Day. When he punched me in my eye, he also punched me on the side of my face, which caused me to lose my mobility. I could not, I just completely hit the ground. And yeah, you said nobody cares, and why are you on my page? And I'm not going to talk to you or reply to you because there are people out here that's really going through domestic violence. So anyway, what had happened was I'm gonna block you. There you go. What happened from that point on was he grabbed me and threw me in the car. And then he drove down the street to where his location was to get high, to get on drugs. And that was one of the first instances for me. It was very hard. It was very difficult to deal with. And it was something that I was not really prepared for because um, who prepares themselves to be in a domestic violence marriage or relationship? Nobody. I was caught off guard. Um, I was one of the people that always says, I will never go through that. I would never tolerate that. This will never happen to me. But the one thing I did learn was you can never say never. Um, so it was just very difficult, but that's a part of my story. There's other people coming on and other people in different areas. I want to let them speak. And that way, I was just opening up the floor for until the other members came on. You want to speak? You have a story, my sister?
Yeah, I've got a couple of stories, but um, God is good, and He keeps us through everything we go through. He keeps us safe, protects us, keeps us alive. Um, there was many years that I was abused by my husband for 18 years. And emotional abuse, physical abuse, um, neglect, just felt like I was raising the kids on my own. Um, but it just seemed like, every day he was calling me a name or um, talking down to me, saying I wasn't doing anything good enough. I couldn't even put the dishes in the dishwasher right. I mean, it was that bad. And so it just, I just got
Oh, go ahead.
got old after a while, and I started taking up for myself, and I left him. I left him about 5 times, and he would always beg me back, and I would come back. But the 5th time I left, I did not come back, and one night I don't think he cared if he had, unalived me or not, because we got into an altercation, and he took my wool coat, my black wool coat, and ripped a hole in it, just a huge hole in my coat, and then he threw me to the floor, and I almost hit my head on the ceramic tile, but God put a rug there, thank God. And so I got up, and I said, I am out of here. I'm taking our son, and we are gone.
My God.
And I left. I left for, I think, a couple of weeks at that point. And then he begged me back and told me he was going to change. And I went back, and at the time, my son was only maybe 1.5, not even, maybe 2. So I stayed until Jackson was 12, and then I finally left for good, because he told me, he said, Mama, I'm going to unalive him if we don't leave.
Wow. Most people say that when you're going through domestic violence, why do we stay? What was one of the reasons, if you want to share, why you didn't get out, and how long did it take you to get out, if you don't mind me asking?
It was kind of like, you take your vows in front of God and you make it work. I felt like it was going against God to get a divorce. And then also there was financial security, and there was the kids missed their rooms, the kids missed their play center, the kids missed their creek in the backyard. A lot of it had to do with my kids, a lot of it.
When did it start? Like, how long were you in your relationship, if you don't mind me asking, before the domestic violence started?
Well, it really started while we were dating, but I didn't pay attention to it. I didn't pay attention to the red flags. I was warned by a family member to leave him. I didn't listen. And I should have listened. Hindsight, right?
Right.
And I just didn't listen. I mean, he started the mental abuse. He even told the marriage counselor, when we went to see a marriage counselor, that he was the spider with the fly. I was the fly, and he was the spider.
Oh, wow.
And we all know what the spider does to the fly. So, that was an analogy. My counselor really was like, are you kidding me? You're comparing your wife to a fly, and you're the spider? Like, he literally said, you need some help, to my husband. And my husband quit going to marriage counseling that day.
Wow. So when you first got married, because I'm on different avenues. So we're talking about domestic violence awareness. It's a domestic violence awareness month. So we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, and we're on YouTube. So you're going to hear different voices and different people. So I just didn't want you all here trying to figure out what was going on. We're just telling our story. We're giving advice to, not advice, but giving people some of the information they may need to get out, or how do we get out. So we're just letting everyone know just basic information, the phone numbers, the things that are available for you out there, and then our story. If anyone has a story, you're also able to come up and you can tell your story. Go ahead.
Amen. So, I finally got out. I got smart, finally, after 18 years.
Oh, wow.
And it had to do with what my son said. My son said, I'm going to unalive him if we don't leave. And so I got everything together, and we took the clothes on our backs, and we took my minivan, and my mom came up, and she helped drive me from Oklahoma to New Hampshire. From New Hampshire to Oklahoma.
Right.
Because that was a long drive, and I didn't want to do that by myself with the kids. And so she came up, and we drove together. So.
What was the last straw for you?
Finally got my freedom.
Other than your son saying that, so that is a very important last straw, I would say. I'm losing my words. Sorry. So your children were aware of the domestic violence.
Yeah, very aware.
Did it affect them mentally or physically?
Oh yeah, one time my daughter, he called me the B word, and my daughter grabbed the salmon that he was going to make on the grill, and he said, "Daddy, you're not making this salmon on the grill until you apologize to Mama."
Oh wow!
And he let that salmon defrost in her hands.
Wow! So he refused to apologize.
Yeah.
You're waiting for me. Okay, what do you want? Did you want to get on? Cherie, did you want to get on? Can you come live? We can talk on a live. This is live. Did you want to join the live? I don't know how to add a live on here. Sorry. You said you're waiting for me. What are you waiting for? If you want to join the live, I guess you can send me a request and I can put you on. Sorry, everyone else. Sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, you're fine, Annie. You're trying to do 3 things at once.
Three.
I get it.
So what I was going to ask you. So once you left, was that the final time, or did you leave and come back?
Well, I left and came back 4 times, and I left the final time, the 5th time.
Someone else just joined. What we're talking about today is domestic violence awareness. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I know we're at the end of the month, but if I'm looking different directions, I'm on TikTok, I'm on YouTube, and I'm also on Facebook. And I'm an advocate of domestic violence. My organization is called Trapped with the Treasure. So we're just talking to different people and allowing them to tell their story. You all can leave messages in the chat, and we're just trying to give information for people, like the national number for domestic violence. If you need to talk to someone, they do have that number, which I do have here. It is 800-799-7233. They also have it where you can text for help. That text is BEGIN, all caps, BEGIN. You text BEGIN to 88788. They'll text you back. And also, there is that's the chat. So thank you so much for joining. We're going to continue on. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So when I got out, I felt free. It took me about a year to get back to my regular self. But I was like, why didn't I do this years before once I got out? Once I got out, I was like, why did I stay with him so long? Why? Because I was so much happier being away from him.
Sometimes we have the tendency to blame ourselves. Did you victim blame? Like that everything you're doing is your fault? Was that something that you felt, or is that something, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I'm just asking questions. Yeah,
it was definitely something that he made me feel, because nothing I could do was good enough. Nothing. Anything at the house, anything I cleaned, anything it just seemed like he was calling me a name every day. He would start out making me breakfast, and then he would end up calling me a name by the end of the day.
Oh, wow.
It was very mixed signals, and And you just don't know if it's your fault. Is there something I did that upset him? Is there something I did that, I wasn't being a good wife or something like that? But I always got confirmation that I was being a great wife and a great mom. And so I don't know. That's what I did.
Could you have not that it could have been your fault, because it's not our fault for someone being an abuser. What I'm asking is, what was his background?
Well, one of his ex-girlfriends warned me about him because she said, first of all, he only vacuums in one direction. Like you cannot make lines in the carpet when you vacuum.
Oh, wow.
And she said, if I were you, I would run. And I was like, I just thought she wanted him back, so I just disregarded it. Hey, brother. I know, right? Hey, brother.
Hi.
We're talking
How are
about
you, Erica?
Hi.
We're talking about domestic violence and the awareness and helping people if they need to hear online, how to get help or how to get out. So,
One thing about domestic violence, it's not just hitting, it's emotional abuse, it's physical abuse, it's spiritual abuse, it's financial abuse.
yes.
There's so many different areas. Like I was saying earlier, like if I'm just say I'm a Muslim and my husband is Seventh-day Adventist and he tells me I'm not allowed to practice my religion, then that's abuse.
Right.
If I'm working and he's taking my pay and keeping my pay, that's abuse. You can't do
Right.
that. So
Right.
domestic violence, a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to get involved with domestic violence awareness because my husband or my spouse is not beating me up. But it's not just physical. And what we need to also do is bring awareness, because our children are going through this in school.
Right.
This is happening in elementary school. It's happening in junior high school. It's happening in middle school, where your children or your daughters or your sons are dating, and their significant other in the school is bullying them. Is threatening them. You can't be with that person, or you can't hang with all those girls, or you can't do this, and they're being hit in school. Domestic violence is happening in the school, where they're getting beat up in the school. Their friends know, but the parents don't know. And this is why a lot of times you're seeing it after the fact, to where the child has unalived himself, or the boyfriend or girlfriend has unalived them at the school or chased them from the school. There's so many stories. And this is why we need to educate ourselves that domestic violence is bigger than us. Like, it's bigger than just what we think in our mind. And if we can talk to our children, if we can talk to our elderly, because they're being abused.
Right.
Elder abuse is really big. Sometimes we have home attendants or a home nurse. They're nice in front of you while you're there with your family, but they're beating your mother or your father up when you're gone.
Right.
And
Right.
there's
Exactly.
verbal abuse, like, I'm not going to feed you, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to give you what you want, I'm not going to let you watch the TV you want to watch, the channels you want to watch. That's abuse.
Right.
So
Yes.
if anyone else wants to speak.
It's just getting worse with social media.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have some people on here. Cynthia, bring into the video, invite. Okay. Sorry. So, like, you go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to work three different areas, and it's hard.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying there's a lot of bullying going on in the schools, and social media has, just been a horrible backbone for bullying.
Right.
Just horrible. And the thing is that, when we were little, you and I, Erica, we didn't have to deal with social media bullying.
Right.
We had to deal with the bully up front. But now they can send out a message to 1 million people and scandalize your name in 2 seconds.
Right.
And that is just horrible. And so many children are unaliving themselves because of social media bullying.
This number, the statistics are so high, and they're getting higher, and we don't
Yes.
talk about it enough. So seems like only time it matters is when it's happening to you, your family member, or your child. Other than that, when you talk about domestic violence or any type of violence, people just scroll across it. Oh, that doesn't pertain to me, but it does. If it's your neighbor, your mother, your brother, just because it's happening in the world, it matters, because so many people are losing their life hourly all over the world for domestic violence, and we have to bring awareness. We have to just talk about it. And it's just as simple as this. Like for me, it took years for me to talk about it. A friend of mine that's on Facebook that was watching, she was one of the ones that says, okay, you're leaving, like you're not going to go through this. And it's not something that you just wake up and say, I'm going to marry someone or I'm going to date someone that's going to beat me up. It does not happen that way. And it's gradual. And then they threaten you. Like if you leave, leaving is one of the most hardest parts about domestic violence, because that's when things get worse. Because a lot of times, like you see people screening it on let me screening it, streaming it, excuse me, on social media. There's so many stories where I saw men that went to, this guy drove like different state to state and unalived his significant others. Like people are very adamant when they say, if I can't have you, no one else will. This happens so much every single day. And we need to talk about it. We need to, have a code word for your child. Talk to your sons, talk to your daughters. And there's so many different groups of people that this is happening to, like men. Men don't want to talk about being violated. Men don't want to talk about being beaten. I've had one message me one day last week right after Bible study, and I'm like, okay, God, treat this just like you would a woman. And there's help out there for men, but men feel like you're masculine, so they're not supposed to get abused, so they're embarrassed. And then the LGBTQ, although I'm not a part of that, but I have to be open to that with my organization, because they're getting abused even the more.
Yes,
And
yes.
they don't speak up because they're embarrassed. And no one should be violated. No one should be hit. No one should be having their finances taken. No one should be afraid to go to church. No one should be afraid to even be in a relationship.
Right, exactly. And I'm kind of to that point right now where I'm kind of in limbo because my husband never gave me a divorce. And I really, Jesus is my heavenly husband. I don't want to deal with any more abuse. I don't want to deal with any more um, hurt in that department. And God, God has shielded me from that, by doing that.
I have some red flags, if you all don't mind me speaking of it. People are still coming in and out. We're talking about domestic violence. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so we're just having a conversation. You can listen, you can tell a story, you can invite a friend. It's up to you. It says, what are some warning signs of domestic violence? What are the 10 red flag symptoms? Example of red flag symptoms in the older adult includes, but not limited to, um, let me see, weight loss, because sometimes people neglect to give you food, acute onset or severe pain. Sometimes people would withhold your medication. That happened to my father when he had cancer. They were withholding his medication. Like, no, you don't need this right now. You've already taken it. Well, that's abuse. Let me see.
Denise, do you want to come into the box? Pastor Overcomer's here.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm trying to bring her in, but it's not letting me.
I don't. Anyone just send an invite and they can come in. If you can just keep letting them know that, because I'm trying to monitor 3 devices. Once again, help is available for domestic violence. The number is 800-799-7233. Or you can text BEGIN, all caps, BEGIN, to 88788. Back to the red flags of domestic violence. There are warning signs. A lot of times we don't pay attention to the warning signs. Did you see any warning signs with your spouse, your husband, your ex-husband, or with anyone in the beginning?
Oh yeah, I saw a lot of warning signs. I look back, and he was talking down to me, as soon as I moved in with him. Which, don't ever move in with anybody that's against God, and I don't recommend that at all. And he was talking down to me. He was belittling me. He was kind of put me in my place, and I didn't even realize it back then, because I was like a puppy dog just following him around, and so I don't know.
Um, it says warning signs that you are bullied or threatened by your partner. Bullying is a big thing. I know we talked about it about school and how intimidation, that's another thing. People try to intimidate you by their demeanor, how they look at you, how they jump at you, to intimidate you, to scare you, to have control over you. Your partner attempts to control you and your actions. Oh my God. I don't want you wearing makeup. I don't want you going out with your friends. I want you to go to work and come straight home. I think you're gonna cheat on me. All those type of things. Your partner
Yes.
controls your money. Because I remember I told you financial is abuse. They control your money, won't let you access it, or they steal it from you. You're cut
And a
off
lot of
from your
people,
family and friends. One of the biggest. They want to isolate you. Isolation is domestic violence.
don't realize that's abuse, Erica,
Hmm.
because they think, well, that's just part of being in a marriage. And that's not the case at all. Pastor Overcomer sent a request, but it's not.
Except, there you go.
There she is. Okay, good.
Yes, you can continue.
So, it's not that a marriage is supposed to be that way. And a lot of people don't know what a marriage is supposed to be like, so they just go along with it. And they put up with the abuse, and they put up with the emotional abuse, and they put up with the financial neglect, and they put up with, just many things. And they don't have to put up with it. And once they realize 18 years down the road, like me, why did I put up with this for so many years,
Right.
Hey, Denise.
Hi.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
I'm fine. Hi, Lady Erica.
Hi, how are you? How are you? I have three areas going on, so you're gonna keep hearing me say to TikTok, to Facebook, and to YouTube. We're talking about Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Domestic violence is so many different areas. People think domestic violence is just hitting. It's not. It's financial abuse. If you're taking my money and you're saying I can't spend my money, and you take my check, that's abuse. It's spiritual abuse. If I can't go to the church of my liking or practice my religion, that's abuse.
Yeah.
And one of the main things is they isolate you, they dominate you, they control you, they put fear in you. There's just so many different areas. So we're talking about it. If you want to come in the box, if you have a story, if you have any advice, you're welcome. The floor is open.
Okay, good. I'm listening.
Queen Leslie, would you like to come into the box and tell your testimony?
Just send
Queen
invite,
Les-
I'll let you all in.
It's saying I'm not a moderator on here. I don't know what happened.
How do I make you a mod?
You just go into, you would ask me that. You just go into, Pastor Samuel knows how to do that, but I think he's gone.
But
You did it?
I have no idea.
How's Joshua, Denise? How's Joshua?
Okay, he's fine. Running up and down in the yard.
Oh, that's sweet.
One of the other
Yeah.
things that I endured while going through my abuse was, first of all, be careful who you put your trust in. My ex-mother-in-law, I would say it was his mother, not one, that introduced us. She saw how I was at my job. I was bubbly. I was happy-go-lucky. I loved the Lord. I would pray with people. I was innocent and naive. I had no children. And so sometimes you trust people because you figure, oh, they like me. We're friends at work. They won't, bring any harm to me. And the one thing I want to say is, Green, I think you want to come in. I'm not sure. The one thing I want to say is it broke my heart because she knew that her son was not only addicted to drugs. She knew not only her son was abusive. I found out later that she introduced him to all the women he was with through her because she worked in the medical field. I worked in the medical field, so of course she can recruit women for him. Um, he was very handsome, very like helpful, very generous, as in, but wanted to help around the house, do things around the house. He had children, 8 children, but he had custody of one. But also, he also tried to control me by, oh, why do you wear makeup? You're pretty. You shouldn't have to wear makeup. Oh, why does it take you so long to get home from work? I miss you. Why don't you just come straight home from work? Don't take your friend home. And we think, oh my God, he loves me so much. He just wants all of
Right.
my time.
Right.
Oh my
Right.
God. He doesn't want me to do this. Oh my God. He's so cute, but
Yeah.
he wants no, all of that was gradual abuse.
That's right. That's right, Erica.
And then the violence started when he wanted to get high. And then I found myself making excuses. So we make excuses for the things we go through sometimes. Oh, his parents didn't raise him. Oh, his parents were on drugs. So they say you're proud to be on drugs. Oh, well, he's addicted to drugs. So that's what make him know it was already in him. And, I was like, well, I want to go. Well, he came with me to my church that I was a member of, but I left my church because he wanted me to go with him. So I'm like, oh, okay, as long as we go to church, it doesn't matter. No, it
Right.
does matter. I put my
Right.
guards down. They start being so nice to you to where you put your guards down because they're grooming you. They're grooming
Yes,
you
they're
to make
grooming
you and
you.
mold you and change you without you even know you're being changed. So
Right.
we have to always kind of keep our mindset of how we live, how we want to live, our values. Because as women, sometimes we're so pleasing. Oh, okay. As long as we go to church, okay. As long as they believe in God, okay. Well, I won't wear all the makeup since you just think I'm so pretty. I don't need it. Okay, well, I won't go visit my friend. You say you don't like that friend. Okay, maybe she is a little different. And no, we're changing ourselves so much to where now we're being isolated. Now we're being who they want us to be. Now we're forgetting about ourselves, and now our identity is being lost. And now the heat turns up. It's like sin. The devil will take you. Sin will take you further than you want to go. So when you give in and you give in and you give in, the next thing you know, you've lost all identity of yourself.
Mm.
Yeah.
So true.
Mhm.
So true.
And then it got to the point where um, I was unrecognizable. I didn't recognize myself. Um, I looked at like how what I was going through at home. I looked at worn out. I got tired of coming home like my stuff is stolen out the house. My stuff is gone. Trying to keep the peace. And it's like you never knew because he was really nice. He was really like you said your husband was. Come home, everything's cooked. Bath waters ran, gifts. Gifts waiting for me, and then boom, like what happened? Like a narcissist. What
Yeah.
changed? What made you flip? What made you act this way? Like what happened?
Mhm.
And they make you feel like you're the one that has the problem.
Exactly.
They're like, well, why are you reacting that
Mm-hmm.
way?
Mm-hmm.
Or what is your problem? Or what? Why? Why do you feel that way? I didn't do anything to make you feel that way.
You made
You
me act
know.
this way. You made me do it.
Right. Right.
My husband used to drink.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
when he come from America, he came here. He came here as an alcoholic, a full blown alcoholic. Not
Mm.
only a drunkard, because a drunkard is different from an alcoholic.
Right.
A drunkard would go to the bar. and they would drink something, and by the time they have a drink, they would get drunk. But an alcoholic is somebody that constantly drink a lot of liquor, and it would seem that they're not drunk, but literally they're there and they're drunk. So they drink, they sit down as if everything is all right. So he would drink on a weekend, and that's the time when we're supposed to be making preparations to go to church. So I had to drive all the way from Kingston, from country into Kingston. So, I have to do the driving. And it was so pressuring on me to come to Kingston, go back down to Manchester. So he drink on a weekend, and then he wants to go to church Sunday to lead the service. So I had to be taking away the opportunity from him to do the service. So now the church members are saying I'm being controlling.
Oh no. Oh no.
So I have to be hiding that he is drunk. Because to the volume amount of liquor that he drinks, it cannot come out of his system until like a week.
Wow.
I don't know how to do it, but it stays long. So I wasn't aware of these things. And when I came home, like when I would go to work, because at that point I was doing car and property insurance.
Yeah.
So I go home from work, come home from work, and seeing him locked himself in a room and wondering what has happened.
Wow.
Not knowing that his drinking habit is controlling him. So I would come in now, try my best to get him to open the door. And then I would be telling him, take your medications. So I'm coming in now, making it worse, thinking that he's sick, not knowing that bottles of rum are under the bed. And getting up every time there's things that has happened in his life that he don't want to face reality. So he's drinking his life away. So he don't want to face what is happening around him. So as soon as he gets to consciousness, then what he does is to
Can't hear you, Denise, honey. You're cutting out. The devil is a liar. Devil, let her speak.
Amen.
Jesus. In Jesus' name, let her speak. Now I command you and demand you to leave in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen. Amen.
Are you hearing me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we hear you now.
Yes. It's just keep cutting out. Yes, so when I give him the alcohol now, I'm thinking that he's sick. And he's getting worse. So now he starts to have a seizure on me. So I have to be dealing with the seizure, and I can't tell anyone.
Oh, no.
You can't just go and tell anyone that a bishop, remember my husband was a bishop,
Yeah.
is drinking. How do you tell your family that you're, because in our family, in the country here in Jamaica, when it calls on the name of a bishop and an apostle and a pastor, they highly esteem you. So how do you come now and tell them that a bishop, somebody that they look highly on, is drunk?
Yeah, that would be rough. That would be hard to say.
So the church accuses me every day, and they say that I'm beating my husband. When I come up on this platform and I just hear, because I said I'm gonna come on here to share my testimony, but I wasn't ready yet. But I feel I can share bits and pieces because it is a lot. When I listen to Lady Erica and I hear this, it is a lot. When you mention about taking away their money, I had to be taking away his money, because if I leave him with money, then we're gonna go hungry, and then his system will be filled with alcohol.
Right. Right.
I went through that as well, because my abuser not only was addicted to crack, but whenever money got to his hand,
Mm-hmm.
we knew, like, oh my goodness, you got to watch him. You got to get it.
Oh
You got
my
to make him
God.
spend it all.
Come
Um,
on.
and
Hey,
then my
Jesus.
keys, I had to hide my keys, and no matter where I hid my keys at night, so when I get up in the morning to go to work, I would wake up and I'm like, how did he find it? Like, how did he
How did
know?
you tell
I
me?
had to hide the credit
Sometimes,
cards, even his
yeah.
credit card.
Yeah, that's rough, you guys. I mean,
There's an eye that they have. I don't know what kind of eye, but sometimes I went outside of my house. I was living in Mandeville, and I saw bottles of beer. But one of my brothers were there. I know that my brother would drink, and they would go to their parties. But you see, my brother, I know when he's drunk because if he comes home and he's hugging me and telling me, I love you, my sister, and crying, that's something.
He's feeling real good.
Yeah. So when my brother started talking, we say, "Oh, there you go." But the difference with my brother and my husband, may his soul rest in peace, is that my brother would get better in a couple of hours,
Mm-hmm.
but my husband is not getting better in weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then I found out that when my brother would drink like 3 beers and get drunk, my husband would triple.
Mm-hmm.
oh,
And
wow.
nobody knows where he goes to buy it. He's so nice and neat. He take the taxi, he go to the store, take it up, say hi to everybody. He's so nice. And then he come home with a bag of liquor. And then me
Jesus.
know so nice. He hide it outside. So I saw some liquors on the outside. I say, it look like my brother is picking up bottles. Because here in Jamaica, we would pick up bottles and put them in a crate and you could sell a crate of bottles. So I said, maybe when I come now and like I drink a Malta or something, I would put the bottles there. But when I realized it wasn't my brother,
Wow.
come on now, it was my husband, my bishop husband.
Wow.
And I have to put the word bishop in front so that persons can understand
Right.
what I'm trying to say
Mhm.
because the spiritual world is different from,
Mm-hmm.
the out world. And I've gone through so much because of that man, and I'm telling you, God really take him out of my life because it reached to a point where I couldn't take it no more. I was screaming out in my head. I was screaming out on the inside. I was shouting out Jesus without even opening my mouth. And persons are not believing me.
Mm-hmm.
I actually at church, I was at church one point at his church. And he was there making a bench because he liked to make stuff. And I just saw him got up, he put on his glasses, changed his shirt, and he said, I'm going on the road, I'll be back. You want something to drink? I said, sure, bring something for me. When he came back, he was acting so different. Right in the church, so right in the church. When I check it out, he got drink and he drunk.
My God.
So because I wasn't so happy, but I was happy about it because I wanted persons in the church to realize what I was saying for them not to give him any money. Then I called one of the church brother and I say, come to the church now. When he come to the church, I said, there is your bishop on the ground. He said, what happened to Bishop? Bishop, what happened to you? Me say, Bishop is drunk.
Wow.
And so, oh my God, Pastor Denise, what you're saying. And we have to put him in the car and drive him home just to cover it up. And that is a Saturday.
Jesus.
Wow. Wow.
Tomorrow is service. And how can Sunday come when Bishop is so close to church and you don't allow him to come to church?
Jesus.
When they see me alone come to church, it's gonna look funny.
Mm-hmm.
So me and the brother have to fresh him up, carry him to church Sunday, and let him just sit down. Now they handing over the service to Bishop. I take the mic. Me here say me come to take over them church.
Jesus.
Wow.
Jesus.
So this abuse thing, and so I start getting abuse from him. I start getting abuse from the family.
Mm-hmm.
I start getting abuse from the church.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knows until this day, and nobody ever choose to listen to me. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna speak out. I started writing my book.
Amen.
It's gonna be in my book. It's gonna be in my book. Hi, Mrs. Bailey.
Hey, sis, come up in the box and tell your story. Come up in the box.
Yes, so it's a lot. And then I started losing my job. He started getting sick, and I have to stay home to focus on, watching him. At one point I left for work. I was driving. I lose my car, I lose my money. I started losing instead of gaining.
Instead of
When
gaining.
you get married, you can't lose, cause something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So at one point I was going to work one morning. I drove and I almost reached work. But a boy said to me, I left something. I think it was my key, but I remember I left something. And I turned back. When I turned back, the time that I left for work was too early for him to start drinking. And the thing is, I don't know about the drinking. I don't know, because he's so unique. He will brush his teeth and lock himself in his room. And I'm telling you, hi Ruby, hi Mrs. Bailey. Nice to see you all.
Hi, everybody.
I am so sorry that you went through that, Denise, my daughter. That makes me so sad that you went through that.
Yeah. And
it's good that you're telling your story.
When I turned back from work and I reached home, I was right in time, because I left him with Joshua. I was right in time to see him coming with a bag. So I drove down to his foot and to find out what did my husband go to the shop to buy. When I took the bag, it was one bag of Magnum and Red Stripe beer.
Wow.
Wow.
So I pulled the bag away. I got so angry. And I drove to the shop where I thought he was. And I said to the lady, please take back these liquors and give me back my money. Yes, because she was started thinking now that I'm scared. I'm crazy. I one young king.
Yes. Hi, young one king. Hi, Miss Bailey. We're talking about, this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We're talking about domestic violence. Domestic violence is more than just hitting. It's also intimidation. It's financial abuse. It's physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. It's also spiritual abuse. There's so many different areas of abuse. Our children are going through it secretly. They're afraid to tell their parents. When you send them off to school, they're being bullied and controlled by their boyfriend or girlfriend in school, and it's hidden. There's so much. Oh my goodness. Overcomer you just brought up is even in the pulpit. You know how many wives are going through domestic violence with their spouses that are pastors, apostles. You just don't know, and we have to just smile, and no one believes you because everyone's watching and respects the pastor. I mean, it's a wide, diverse area, and we're just bringing awareness and having a conversation. If anyone wants to speak, you can. I have a couple of different areas that's on. We're not just on TikTok, we're on YouTube, and we're also on Facebook.
Yeah.
Pastor Overcomer, you can continue. She was bringing up so many good points because when I was with my abuser, he would abuse me on our way to church because I just was simply looking pretty. I had on makeup. And one day he like hit me and I had a gash, which those things are still there. That's the reason why I like to wear makeup. And we got to the
Mm.
church, and the church that I left, which was my church with my church home with my family, and joined with him and his family, the pastor wouldn't get involved. The first lady told me when I was leaving town that she told him so many times, asked him so many times to address the abuse because they saw it. Like, you can't miss a gash with blood coming in a church for Bible study.
Right.
And
Right.
he didn't want to get involved because he said my abuser's family was a majority of his members. So he didn't want to get involved. So for me, I was angry at the church. You can't say church hurt. It was a person. It was a
Yeah.
pastor. He didn't do what he was supposed to save my life.
Right.
So we go through so much, and it's traumatizing. It's frustrating. It's because you live in fear with domestic violence. I have a list of things that you're intimidated. You're being told everything you do is your fault. They tell you that you don't listen enough. You're not listening what I'm telling you to do. Give me your check. Give me your money. You can't hang out with that person. They isolate you from family members. These are all signs of abuse. So we're just
Right.
bringing awareness. If anyone wants to talk, if you know of a spouse or a child, or even you are growing up in your homes, years and years ago, that was common. Back in, I guess, the 40s and 50s, the husbands had the upper hand of their wives, so you couldn't call the police because they didn't do anything. You were able to hit your spouse, but that's not okay.
I deal with bullying to this day as an adult, so I guess I've dealt with bullying all my life. so, you don't have to entertain it. You don't have to entertain it. Somebody throws you a ball, you don't have to throw it back. Just ignore the ball. Just ignore the ball. Just focus on God and ignore the ball.
A lot of people say, "Why did you stay?" You don't stay because you want to. They intimidate you. They
Right.
tell you, if you leave, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your child, your children, your family. Because, of course, this is somebody that knows everything. They know every one of your friends, where they live. They know, the things you like. They destroy them, they break them, or they tear them up. I mean, so a lot of these threats they make, you have to take serious. So it's not like making excuses that you want to stay. They just make you fearful, like, to believe, because it goes on. Like, so many people daily are dying of domestic violence, intimidation, abuse. So many children, the statistics are so high where the children are being abused, where the
Right.
teenagers at school are being abused, and they don't tell their parents. They have so many movies on Lifetime, but it's not even a movie. Just look at TikTok. Just look at the different things on YouTube. Just look at the different things that they're streaming on Facebook. The children are streaming this, and they're afraid to tell their parents. They're like, "Oh, where's that bruise on you? Oh, I fell at school," and we just leave it at that. No, are you being abused? Is your boyfriend or your girlfriend abusing you? Let's
Right.
talk about it.
Exactly. I mean, I have friends that are being abused right now, and they won't speak up.
And it's
They won't.
because we're
They won't leave.
afraid.
They won't leave because of the children. They won't. They won't leave. What advice do you have for them?
I would say, because we have to be careful. We just have to give them pamphlets. We have to give them information. We have to give them the statistics of domestic violence and how it ends or could end. We can only make everything readily available for them. I have lots of pamphlets with information in it, with phone numbers in it, with help in case they need it. So we always just tell them, in case you're ready to leave, here's the number you will call, the hotline number. We would tell them, like, make sure when you're ready to talk about it, or when you're ready to do something about your situation, here's information. But remember, they can't take it home. You can't take home a domestic violence pamphlet. You can't take home like a halfway, not a halfway house, but a shelter. So there's different ways that you have to, like, give them this information, let them know you don't have to call 800 hotline, but there's a text message like I read earlier to you, where you can text begin at, let me give you that number again. Um, you can text begin, all caps, BEGIN, to 88788. They're making it where you can secretly get this information to a person that can help you. They
Right.
also have it where, for me, my invention, and nobody's going to steal it because God is not going to allow you, is I want to get like earrings. And regular earrings like this, but it has a button where you can push it, and it
Yeah.
alerts your family, it alerts the police, it alerts people close to you to let them know, come now. I
I
want to
like
make a
that. I
watch the
like that
same
a
way a
lot.
regular ring does something. They wouldn't think they just push a button. That secretly lets you know something is going on to get here right now. And also, I
Mm.
wanted to have like a monitoring, like a GPS, because abusers will take you from your home. Like a really bad one happened here in Jersey. I want to say 2 years ago, and the lady did everything right. She did everything right, everything. And her child's father broke into the back of her house and kicked in her door, and he kidnapped her and her child. By the time the family realized it, he had already taken to a different state. By the time they figured out where he was, he had already unalived her, and the child was with him. But the police found him. The child was still here. The aunt is raising him, but I'll never forget that story. Like right here, there's so many different things that she did right. She got away. She was actually moving that day. She was moving all her stuff. He knew she was moving. He wanted to see his child, but she was afraid because she was by herself. And these things are happening daily. We just like, excuse me. Even when you do everything right, something can still happen.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I hate the fact of it, because when I left my abuser, you're always looking over your back. You're always looking over your back. For years, I slept with my keys and my purse under my mattress, and I wasn't even with him anymore because my mind was like, I gotta hide this stuff, and it's
Right.
triggering.
I used to have to hide my debit card from my boyfriend. He would just take my debit card and go take my car and go to the ATM, and I'd be like, you're not supposed to do that, and I'd kind of look the other direction because he said he would never do it again. And but that is blatant stealing. That is
Right.
stealing. And I don't know why I didn't see it then. You know what I mean? Like, why didn't I run? Why didn't I get away from him? He had to die for me to get away from him.
Wow. My abuser would finally leave. I called the police. He hated the police. He always would run. And for me, the police don't take you serious. That's why I get angry with a lot of the women that play with domestic violence. And when I say play with it, I mean you're giving false statements. You're making, like, there's some couple of them on social media, these content creators. You're making a mockery of domestic violence when it's real. Like when you really need help, the police don't take you serious. They'll say, "Are you really going to show up to court? If we do all this paperwork, are you really going to not let him in?" Like they have to ask us these questions, and it's
Right.
because we take them back, or they don't think that you're done, so they don't really take you serious. And then when they need to, when they should be taking you serious, then you're unalive, and that's
Right.
not okay.
Right. It's not okay. Not okay. I don't like it when men take women and just slowly chisel away their being. They just chisel away their being slowly. To the point where they don't even believe in themselves anymore.
Mhm.
They don't even know that they matter. And that is so wrong on so many levels. And that's where Matt had me. He had me where felt like I was worthless. And a man should never make you feel like you're worthless. A man should never disrespect you. A man should never belittle you. And you don't have to put up with it.
Amen.
You don't have to, that is not part of a marriage. That is not part of a marriage. And when you get disrespected or called names or they tell you you're not doing anything all day. Mm-hmm. What do you do all day?
Mm-hmm.
That's abuse. And a lot of people don't know that,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is that I have a couple of friends that are dealing with abuse, and one of my friends stayed because of the money. You know, she stayed. Now he's not abusing her anymore in that way, but he won't put her name on the house.
It's still a sense of control, because that's what abuse
Right.
is: intimidation and control. And
Like, why wouldn't you put your wife's name on the house? What if something happens to you? You know, and she loses her home because the name is not in her. It's not in her name too.
wow,
And he makes about $400,000 a year. But she puts up with it because it's financial security.
and that's another thing. A lot of women deal with domestic violence and abuse is because of the financial security. Because if I leave, I'm not going to live this life anymore. If I leave, what am I going to do? I don't have education. I haven't worked. He told me not to work anymore, so they just stay.
Yeah, he thought she was cheating on him, which he never would do. And he attacked her one night and tried to unalive her.
Wow.
And she forgave him and stayed in the marriage.
Jesus.
I promise.
Not right now, promise.
Hi, sweetie. Tell him Auntie said hi.
I think that's why she's barking, because she heard your voice.
Hi, sweetheart.
Everybody, this is Promise. Princess Promise.
Hi, Promise. How are you, honey? Hi, honey. She's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Sis Bailey, do you have anything you want to add with your stories?
You're still on mute.
I don't know what happened to Denise. What happened to Pastor Overcomer?